You always wanted to go to the beach. He always took you to the mountains. You felt bad because your needs and desires were never met. Then he's with the next woman and he always takes her to the beach and he never takes her to the mountains. And you're like, why wasn't I good enough? Because he's doing this for her. Now, what about when you leave the narcissist and then he starts to get better? This doesn't make any sense at all. Why, when you leave him, would he start getting better? Many of you are hoping, praying, and thinking that this is what's going to happen, and it might. So let's talk about it a little bit. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness of narcissistic abuse. I help liberate women that are trapped in toxic relationships, and I work with a select few men that are stuck inside the mindset of being a liar and a narcissist and helping them actually heal and develop. If you want to know more about what I do specifically, you can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. Would love to help you move forward in your healing process. Now, when we talk through this piece, and let's kind of just back it up here. We're going to talk through this piece today of this whole aspect of change and this whole aspect of him changing at the end of the relationship or after you leave. Now, first off, we need to clarify. I've done some videos on this, but if you're new here, I want you to understand this. There's change and then there's transformation. They're two different things, and we might use them interchangeably, but we really shouldn't. So I want to try to clarify early on. When people ask, can a narcissist change? They're typically asking, can a narcissist become more human, become more loving, be nice, actually have a healthy relationship, which doesn't involve change. Now, change is just a temporary thing. Like you change clothes and then you change clothes again. It's not like you change clothes and you're like, that's my permanent clothes. Those are the clothes I'm going to wear for the rest of my life. No, you change clothes. You should, at least. And inside this piece of changing, like this is a temporary thing. It's this modification. A lot of times I'll refer to it as like behavioral modification. You're like, hey, stop yelling at me. And he's like, okay, I won't yell anymore. But you, blah, 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 blah. And he's not yelling, but he's still yelling. You see what I mean? You're going to have different narcissists that will change and modify their behaviors to appear better, to appear like they look better in society, to appear better for you, to appear like he's doing the right things or whatever might go on. It's like, let me modify a couple things versus transformation. Now, transformation is this piece of changing from the inside out. This is this piece that regardless if you leave him or not, he's willing to do the work required to transform who he actually is. The difference with transformation is it's not temporary. Then it's not based on you. That's not based on saving the relationship. It's based on him actually wanting something different. I had someone the other day that was asking me a question. They were trying to understand. They're like, what caused you to change? What made you change? And like getting to that answer is extremely difficult for me. And it's not extremely difficult because I'm avoiding it. It's just extremely difficult of like the understanding, the realization of who I was, and then understanding that that's who I didn't want to be. And understanding that I was stuck in this cycle over and over and over again, that nothing was going to actually transform. Like everything I was doing was just changing. I was just white knuckling and gripping life, trying to get through it to be like, well, let me lie less today. Let me be less abusive today. Like, no, it never worked. Simply because I was trying to modify stuff. I was trying to do stuff from the outside in. I was trying to modify my behaviors to fit better into society versus actual transformation from the inside out. Now, the hard part is you get to the place where you get ready to leave or you've already left and he changes. A couple things will happen. One, he'll change at the end of the relationship. You say, I'm leaving, getting a divorce, separating, change, different guy, all of a sudden. Like he's more loving, he's more connected, he's more open. What's going on? He's actually involved with the kids. He's actually helping around the house. What's going on? Simply put, he found another way to manipulate you. Easiest way to put it. Everything he was doing before was no longer working. The manipulation he was used to doing, that you were used to accept, that when you finally said, I'm done, he's like, that manipulation is old. Can't use that manipulation anymore. Need to revert back to a new manipulation so that I can actually get what I want. So as a result, he starts giving you what you want, at least temporarily. Not long-term, just temporarily. Giving you what you want so you feel, oh, there's hope. He actually cares about me. There's actually something here in the relationship. Maybe this will work out. And so he starts to change at the end of the relationship. He modifies. He does things to try to appear better. Oftentimes, this is just a piece of control. Let me modify some things to be able to control and to keep you in my life. That's it. Okay? So this control piece that happens. Now, you also have you leave and then he changes. This is one of the hardest pieces for people to cope with, because you leave and then you're wondering, well, if I go no contact, how am I going to tell if he actually gets better? How am I going to grow in this? How am I going to figure out if we can come back together? And I'm like, when you're leaving a toxic and abusive relationship, that's the last question you need to be focused on. What you need to be focused on is your growth, your development, your healing. Like, if you don't focus on that, then this thought will just keep gnawing in the back of your mind, and you will shortchange your healing every single time. Because you won't actually focus on the things you need to focus on. You'll be thinking, is he doing better? Can I grow so that I can be back with him? Maybe this will work out. And guess what? You still go through life with having these blinders on to the reality of who he's been and how he's showing up. But this is what people get confused about and get concerned about. If I go no contact, how will I know if he's healing? You go no contact so that you can heal. Period. Like, you go no contact so that you have space and capacity to stop getting triggered by an abusive person so you can actually heal. But the problem is you start doubting. You're like, but I don't know. If you've been with a narcissist for 5 years and you decide to go no contact for at least a year. Then see where you're at health-wise. See where you're at mentally, emotionally, physically. Like, see where you're at everywhere. And be like, okay, is this something that I want to entertain this negativity again? But it needs to be a good period of time. It can't just be, well, let me go no contact for a week and then reach back out. No, he's like, sweet, come back in. Let's manipulate more. Now, the hard part is when you bring another person into it. This is where you get the triangulation. This is where you get a little bit more confusing. This is where you start beating up yourself, because he leaves you and he goes and gets with another woman. When this happens, you start to see him change. You start to see all this behavioral modification. And then you're left scratching your head being like, what does she have that I don't have? What does she have that made him change and I wasn't able to make him change? And you start to put your worth and your value based on him changing for another person. Now, a couple things you need to realize here. One, you're feeling the exact same way that some other woman was feeling before your relationship. And the woman that he's with now, she's going to feel the same way when he goes to the next relationship, because he's shown up as a liar and a cheater consistently in your life. The second thing you need to understand here, inside of this space and inside of this piece of him growing, changing, developing for another person, okay, let's put a pin in that, is this simple aspect of the other person is different than you. I know, it might be hard to believe, but the other person is different than you. This is where the narcissist starts to use and triangulate and make you feel bad. Best way I can illustrate it. You've always loved the beach. Love the beach. You want to vacation to the beach every single year. He doesn't love the beach, and he doesn't like the beach. He doesn't care about the beach, and he doesn't let you go to the beach. So as a result, you always go to the mountains. Okay? Silly illustration, but just play with it. Now he goes to the next relationship. Every single thing you see on social media, one, you're not supposed to be watching, okay, because that's not going to help you heal. But everything you see on social media is him taking her to the beach. Now, your first thought is like, why wasn't I good enough to go to the beach with him? Why wouldn't he do that for me? He hated the beach. He probably didn't, to be honest. He probably just said that to manipulate you, to keep something back from you so that he could have that as leverage. He could have that as control. And there's the other spot of him posting on social media and him posting in a way to be able to showcase and show you, hey, look what I'm doing with this other person, is not real transformation. It's showboating. It's trying to be able to show you, oh, look how awful you were. Look how amazing I am. Oftentimes trying to trigger you to reach out, to interact, or just to feel bad about yourself. Now, the other piece inside of this is also him using it to be able to trigger and abuse you and to be able to lock in the new supply. You always wanted to go to the beach. He always took you to the mountains. You felt bad because your needs and desires were never met. Then he's with the next woman and he always takes her to the beach and he never takes her to the mountains. And you're like, why wasn't I good enough? Because he's doing this for her. But what you don't know about her is she actually loves the mountains and all she wants to do is go to the mountains, but he only takes her to the beach. Do you see? One, you have no clue. You see something, you think, why wasn't I good enough? And he sees it and he's like, I can leverage this in a different way to manipulate this person another way. Like, do you see this? This is what a narcissist does. Leveraging people against people. Leveraging circumstances against circumstances. Leveraging everything they can to have control and manipulation over another person, not just because they want to control another person, but because they want to control the narrative of who he is, the image of how he comes across. Be able to reveal his darkest stuff to you and abuse you and show up to the rest of the world happy and smiling and moving forward. This whole piece of narcissistic abuse is extremely real. It is like cascading across our nation. It's cascading across the world. It's affecting people in more ways than you could ever imagine. And it's not going away. It's not shifting. It's not developing. It's not disappearing. It's only going to ramp up even more. And simply because he's going to continue to keep you in a spot, in a place of confusion. If you're stuck in confusion, you won't leave. As we talked about like the first video this week, like if he keeps you stuck in confusion, you won't leave at all. You will stay stuck. You will stay trapped. You will not be able to actually pull yourself free from him. That's all he's trying to do. Keep you stuck, keep you confused, keep you in the chaos. As a result, you feel crazy. You don't tap into clarity, to certainty, and to your confidence moving forward. If you want to understand how I actually help liberate people mentally and emotionally from a toxic relationship, you can go to rawmotivations.com/masterclass. I have a free masterclass that I run every single week, just showing and helping people understand how they can build back their clarity, their confidence, and their certainty to be able to move forward without being reliant on the narcissist in your life. It's rawmotivations.com/masterclass. Or if you want to work with me one-on-one or interact with me, you can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. Would love to be able to help you out and help you move forward in the healing process here today. If you're confused, if you're stuck, if you're trapped, I want to show you the path to freedom. So go to rawmotivations.com today.